What's up everyone and welcome back to another Pokemon X and Pokemon Y Wi-Fi battle. So this is a battle against John, aka Giancarloparimango11, and like always it turned out to be a pretty good one. So right off the bat you can see both of us have a Tyranitar. His Tyranitar is the only Pokemon that can Mega Evolve on his team, and for me it's either Gyarados or Tyranitar. So I already know what Mega Pokemon he's going to use, and I know he's going to use a Mega Pokemon because most teams do use one. And even if they don't, it's good to consider the idea that they could be using a Mega Pokemon. I don't know why a team wouldn't run it, but I've run into a lot of teams that don't use Mega Pokemon. But for me, it could be either Tyranitar or Gyarados, and both of those are really feared. Gyarados has Mold Breaker when he Mega Evolves. It can destroy everything. 3 Pokemon on his team are weak to an Earthquake, which Gyarados runs. And Ice Fang is not a lot of Gyarados run Ice Fang, but a Waterfall is obviously something Gyarados run as well. So that can be a threat to 4 Pokemon on his team, and yeah, so it was kind of hard to predict what he would start off with. Every single Pokemon on his team was somewhat of a threat to my team. So I went for the default decision, which is either going for, what is his name, Scolipede or Ferrothorn. And Scolipede seemed like a better option because I thought he'd send out either Talonflame or Excadrill. I don't know why I thought Excadrill. I forget what I was running on my head at that time, but he actually ends up starting off with Talonflame, and I can't have Talonflame against my Scolipede because he has the priority Brave Bird, and my Scolipede runs a Focus Sash setup, Baton Pass set. So I set up a Swords Dance, and he gets +1 from the speed boost, and he gets +2 from the Swords Dance, and then a Baton Pass out. And he will always be able to do it unless he gets flinched because he has the Focus Sash. So he's gonna bulk up as I switch out because I don't want to lose my Scolipede, and I know that Gligar can take any kind of physical hit. He's completely defensive, completely invested in defense and HP, so he can tank any physical hit. And even though he has times to attack by now, he's not going to be too much of a threat. So the mistake he made is he goes for another bulk up. He should have just went with one, but he was greedy. So I'm able to set up the Toxic and a Substitute as he goes for multiple bulk ups. So now I'm behind the Substitute, and it's the next turn. So I can completely Poison Stall him out. Once a Pokemon that is a stalling type has a Substitute set up and runs Protect, especially Gligar, you got to get out of there. And PK did this when I battled him, I think a week or 2 ago. This battle happened, I think, 2 weeks ago. I don't know why I haven't uploaded yet. I was thinking of uploading it, but I just completely forgot about it. But now I don't think he realizes at this point that there's nothing he can do, because as he breaks my Substitute, getting a critical hit, which would have done massive damage even though I'm physically defensive, because he has, I think, +2 or +3 in bulk up. So as he breaks that sub, I go for another sub, and that's how the set works, because Toxic Heal heals for 1/8 of your HP, and Substitute takes up 1/4 of your HP. And since I use Substitute and Protect, that takes up 2 turns, and I get to recover the amount of HP I lost from Substitute, rounding down. So he's just gonna go for the Roost here. I don't know why he went for this. He's gonna die to the poison. I think the poison increases by an increment of 8% every single turn. So over time, he's gonna take more and more damage, and it's just gonna do as much as the Roost heals him, which is pretty much how much he just did, or how much he just lost right now. So he's going to go for the Roost, and I didn't see this coming because the amount of HP he recovers is the amount of HP he's going to lose on this turn. So you might as well try breaking my sub. Switching out, have you thought about switching out? And I saw it coming because he just did it. I didn't use Earthquake the first time because I thought it was pointless to go for a Roost. But as you can see, with the Earthquake prediction and everything, he's all the way down to the edge of yellow or orange. So I guess now he's just going to sack his little Talonflame here. Or he's gonna go for another Roost, which is just, I guess, the PP saw me. But anyways, I think he goes for the Roost or Brave Bird. Yeah, he goes for Brave Bird. And so this is how I dealt with Talonflame. It was a pretty big threat to my team at first, but looking at the team preview, after a while I noticed that it wasn't gonna be a threat, and I could just stall it out with Gliscor. Because although a lot of people know the way you stall out with Gliscor, a lot of people don't. And I guess he just didn't know. So he's going to send out his Dragonite. And at first I was thinking, what is he doing? I'm behind a sub, and you're going for Dragon Dance. I don't see what you're trying to do. But it turns out that he has a Lumberry, which I should have known about, because Lumberry, it heals him from his confusion when he goes for 2 or 3 outrages. So he's going to try breaking my sub, and I'm just going to go for another Toxic. I just want this thing Toxic, oh god. But anyways, I'm going to land the Toxic, and he's going to become badly poisoned, and he already lost his Lumberry, so now he's on a timer. Whether he switches out or not, he's on a timer. And he broke my sub this turn, so I'm going to go for the Protect to see if this is going to be his last Outrage or if he's going to do another one. I can live an Outrage, especially at +1. If it was at maybe +2 or 3, then it'd probably 2 or 3 hit KO me. But he actually gets the 2-turn Confusion, so now he doesn't have his Lumberry, and he's confused, and he's poisoned, or should I say badly poisoned. So he unfortunately hits himself in Confusion, letting me set up the Substitute. If I were him, I would have gotten out of it because I could, one, restart my timer, or reset my timer, and I could switch out into another Pokemon that can actually deal with Gliscor, or Gliscor. So he pretty much just messed up here because the chance of you hitting yourself in Confusion is actually 50%, which is pretty high, and half the time you're going to be hitting yourself in Confusion, that means. So he hits himself in Confusion, I get the Substitute up, and he goes for the Fire Punch as I go for the Protect. Next turn, he's going to lose his Dragonite, and it's either he went for the Roost, or he tries to break my sub before he dies, which is what he's going to do. I actually expected him to go for the Roost because that's what he did with his Talonflame. Either that or switch out, and I thought the safest option was to go for Toxic. So even though that was an over-prediction, I don't get the Toxic anything else on his team. He actually loses his second Pokemon, so that's a few good minutes of stalling out Pokemon. And that's Gligar just putting in the waiting game. So he's going to finally send out this Excadrill. And I think he should have sent this in as soon as that Talonflame died. Or maybe even before that. Because I can't Toxic either his Excadrill or his Aegislash. So he should have sent out any of those two. And I know that he's either going to set up or go for some kind of move. And I'm actually going to go ahead and switch into my Ferrothorn. And Excadrill can't do too much to a Ferrothorn. And he was probably fearing the Leech Seed and the Stealth Rocks and everything going up. And if Ferrothorn sets up Stealth Rocks, you don't want to spin them away while being on a Ferrothorn, because you're going to lose like 33% HP. I think it was 35% or something, but the Rocky Helmet and Iron Barbs adds up. So now he's going to set up with this Aegislash, switching into his Aegislash and setting up. And I'm going to go ahead and set up Entry Hazards on his side of the field. So now there's Stealth Rocks on his side of the field, which aren't going to play too much as I thought at that time. But why not get the Stealth Rocks up? Because you never know what could be Focus Sashed and what can't be. Like, for all I know, his Azumarill could be Focus Sashed, although that would be a pretty messed up play, because Azumarill either needs Choice Band. No, Azumarill probably needs Choice Band for the best play, but obviously you can run other Azumarill. And he goes for the Shadow Sneak here. Shadow Sneak definitely wouldn't have taken out that Ferrothorn, and I could have easily tanked that hit and provided massive recoil. So I don't know what he was thinking. He probably should have went for the Sacred Sword or something. If he predicted me to go into Gligar, that wasn't a prediction that I would have made myself, because whether I went into Gligar or not, it wouldn't have killed anything that came in. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. But now he's going to go into his tough choice and try killing me with the Aqua Jet. Nope. What part of physically defensive do you not understand? So I'm going to get the Toxic up on his Azumarill as well. So I still have all 6 members of my team, and he has his Azumarill, which is poisoned, badly poisoned, his Excadrill, and his Tyranitar. So I think his Excadrill still has his Balloon, so that might be one of the other reasons why he also switched out. But now I'm going to go into my Ferrothorn expecting either the Belly Drum or a physical move. So he actually ends up switching out into Kill him, the Tyranitar. So proud of this. But this Tyranitar over here was what I was fearing. It was the main threat that stood out when I saw his team preview. Not only is it his Mega Evolution, but Tyranitar is just really strong. And once he gets the speed that he needs, he doesn't even need to get an attack boost. All he needs is that speed boost, and that's GG. So I didn't want to set up the Toxic, or try going for the Toxic, I should say, because I knew he would either go into his Azumarill or his Excadrill over here, and that is what he does. So I actually go straight forward for the Power Whip, because it wouldn't do too much to Tyranitar, even though it's super effective on him, because Tyranitar has pretty good defense. But it would have done a good amount of damage, and it could super effectively damage anything on his team except Excadrill, which I can break his Balloon with. So he's actually going to go outspeed and go for the Rapid Spin. He's going to lose a lot of HP, but he spins the rocks away. And at this point, I didn't think those rocks were too important, but in an alternate dimension, those rocks would have really helped me out, and you'll see that once the battle's over. So he's gonna go for the superpower. I knew he was gonna go for it, and I knew I could have lived it, so I let him take all that recoil, and he's gonna take even more poison damage at the end of the turn, which if I didn't attack him would still bring him under 50%. And I'm gonna go for the Power Whip, which is just gonna destroy this Azumarill. So if you can see on the left side, Ferrothorn, Gyarados, Clefable, pure Clefable hasn't been touched. Gliscor, Tyranitar, and the Scolipede that hasn't been touched either. I have all 6 of my Pokemon, but he has that Fear Tyranitar. There's a reason my channel is named after a Tyranitar. So he's gonna Mega Evolve. Here comes the king of all Mega Evolutions. Whatever, but anyways, I wanted to 6-0 John, so I actually switch out of my Ferrothorn, which I wanted to Toxic him with, and I go into my Gligar. Probably the worst play of the game. If you're able to win a match, don't try going for the 6-0, just win the match. Most likely, you're just going to end up in a worse position. You might not even win, and you get a 6-0 by just naturally beating the player. You don't aim to get a 6-0. So he's going to go for the strong crunch, and I'm pretty sure that crit mattered, even though it was just a 1.5 attack boost. And at this point, it's starting to fall. I'm falling off this ladder that I was climbing for the entire battle, and I'm just falling. So I sent out my Scolipede. It was here to counter that Tyranitar. So yeah, I'm going to sit here, go for the Sword Stance. I get the Speed Boost. I get the Speed Boost at the end of the turn. So now I have a Super Dragon Dance essentially. +2 attack, +1 speed. I obviously outspeed because Scolipede is just naturally faster than Tyranitar. So at +1, he's going to outspeed. So I don't know what else to get. I send out Tyranitar because I wanted to counter this thing with the Tyranitar instead of Gyarados, which is who I was going to switch into. But the second I clicked Tyranitar and push switch in, I knew that I just messed up because first of all, he gets to deal damage off on me, which is about 20 to 30% of my health. Second of all, he has his Mega Stats and is at +1. But I don't have my Mega Stats. I get my Mega Stats at the end of this turn and the beginning of the next turn. So he actually still outspeeds me. So he is going to kill this Tyranitar. And his... Oh my god. So now I go into Gyarados. I'm trying to see if I can just go for the Waterfall and deal some kind of damage. My Gyarados also has the Focus Sash because that's just the way I run it. It works effectively in the Battle Mazen. And I get flinched. And the Sandstorm's here. And actually, I brought out my Scolipede earlier, waiting for the Sandstorm to end. And everything that's... Oh my god. So I go for the Clefable. I send out Clefable. He goes for Earthquake. I know I can live it. Clefable's here to be a defensive character here. And so I'm going to go for the Moonblast because to kill that Tyranitar effectively, you're going to have to hit it in the special defense. So I go for the Moonblast. It does barely anything. I mean, it didn't do barely anything, but it didn't even get his HP down to past half. So he's going to kill me with the second Earthquake. And now I'm really dreading switching into Tyranitar just because I wanted to beat a Tyranitar with a Tyranitar. It's so stupid. Don't try that. And keep in mind, I'm not blaming luck or whatever with these actions. I still made bad plays, and that's why the outcome of the battle is what it is. And now I only have Ferrothorn, which can't do poop to this thing, who should have Toxic this thing in the beginning. And he's going to go for the Earthquake and kill it. So now all I have left after this is going to be the lifesaver of this game. So Ferrothorn faints, and I send out Scolipede. And I die. So that's pretty much GG. It was a pretty good game. And the thing I wanted to talk about is how this battle could have had many different outcomes depending on how the battle turned out. So first of all, the Moonblast from Clefairy does about 35 to 40% HP to that Tyranitar, the Mega Tyranitar. And the Tyranitar gets hit by the Stealth Rocks once. So in total, that brings it to about 55% HP. Later on, his Excadrill Rapid spins those rocks away. So when he came back in, his HP didn't go below the 55% mark. It would have went to about, I guess, 45%. This is getting really technical. And then the Gyarados, if it didn't flinch, it would have ended that Tyranitar's life. So even though you probably think a move is useless, like if I were using Excadrill, I wouldn't think spinning my rocks would have been useful because every Pokemon that I had left didn't care about rocks. Talonflame's gone and Dragonite's gone, the two Pokemon that rocks mattered to. But if he didn't spin those away, then the battle would have turned out through the algorithm that it works in. I don't know too much about it, but every move you make, whether you think it can help you right now or in the long run or not, could help you. Like having rocks on the field didn't change his team much, but it does save him in the long run. And I'm not saying that if he didn't spin those rocks away that I would have won. My Gyarados could have still flinched and he still would have won the battle, but the one thing you shouldn't do is try to aim to get a 6-0 on someone, because when you do that, then you try not to make a Pokemon flinch. I mean, not flinch, you try not to make a Pokemon faint, and if I didn't care about getting 6-0'd, I just wanted to beat this guy, then I could have won for the Toxic on my Ferrothorn and everything, and the battle would have turned out differently. But I lost fair and square, he won fair and square, so that's game. And since he did sweep me with the Tyranitar, which is my mascot, next time I battle him, you can just, I will sweep him with a Zangoose, alright? But someone has to give me a Zangoose. No, I can breed my own. But that's pretty much game. If you enjoy the battle, be sure to leave a like, and be sure to subscribe because I'll be posting more battles, and I will see you guys next time. What's up, everyone? What's up? Oh my god. Okay, I'll give you a piece of bacon.